Hello, Tim here. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to talk about turning a salt cellar. Having a salt cellar on your stove is quite convenient, and I never thought about it. I've made some years ago, this one particularly from a historic pattern, and I can't find the reference anymore for where I found this. But all it is a very simple on a pedestal, kind of like this, and then it has a scratched in motif with a compass. And that's what I saw in a historic reference book or something, and I can't find a copy of that. But be it as it may, I use this now for my loose change. I keep my coins in there. I've never used it for salt, but that's an early version of a salt cellar. Now that one I copied. The rest I'm going to show you are ones that I made up. And the advantage of having a salt cellar on a stove is that you can grab a pinch of salt and control the amount that you put in your whatever you're cooking. But a pinch of salt, I mean, there's a whole lot of metaphors about that. And salt cellar was always part of the early American table. So having a cover on it, that's all it is a small box with a cover. But I'm going to show you some of the styles I came up with. A wood turner can use stuff, that's the advantage of a wood turner, it can use stuff that other woodworkers have to discard. So a cut off of a bigger project, you know, maybe even pallet lumber, sometimes you can find really good stuff. And sometimes I see a tree going down and I'll ask guys that are cutting the tree up if I can have a branch or two, and I see stuff. And a lot of them that I grab is applewood, and I love turning applewood. And what I have in my examples here is several pieces of applewood. This I can tell has a lot of color, and when I work with applewood you have to let it dry for quite a bit of time. So I usually write a date on there and then come back to it. Take this one here. This is applewood, both pieces, but this has been dyed with an aniline dye to make it dark. And this is applewood top, and that's also dyed. Color might fade over time, but that's one of my first ones I did a little while ago. This is a piece of ash, and this is ash as well. This has been treated with kiln dry. They heated up the kiln for a longer time, almost to the point where the wood was going to turn into charcoal. This is out of the same board, and this is a local source. They take inner city trees, ash trees that have come down because of emerald ash borer. But when they treat this way, it kills all the bugs. It kills everything in there, even the lignans, so that this could be used outside and wouldn't rot or anything like that. But it turns beautifully, and it's my first time using this. Looks like walnuts. It's a nice contrast. This is a cherry and applewood top. Sometimes applewood's more white, sometimes it's got more color. But this cherry I treated with a dye or a lye to age it. This one I really like. This is cherry burl, and it's part of this bigger burl that I was given. And this burl is same piece of wood, big chunk of wood. This is going to have some really fantastic grain pattern. This does. Sometimes you gotta be careful, because things might be in hollow spots or like that. You might have to fortify it with super glue, but it turned out really nice. Really happy with this one. So this is cherry, this is apple. And when I start these kind of things, if I can, I like to just use my Talon chuck, and I have a whole video dedicated to chucks and how I use them. So I don't, if I can avoid it, I don't want to really drill holes in there to mount a faceplate. But if I do have to mount a faceplate, depend, like in a case like this, I'll mount it on the flat side, and then turn the outside first and finish the outside, polish it on the lathe, and then depending on how I rendered the bottom, in this case I have a foot, I can grab it with my jaw chuck and oops, yeah, this one, it's inset, so it has to expand out, and either way it works to finish it and do the inside. What gets a little touchy is making sure that the lid fits, and I have a lid that I started out, so the inside, this is apple, the inside has all been finished and prepped, and now the outside I'll do a little too tight, so I'm going to take down the inside of this so it'll fit in there nice. So it's kind of multi-step, and you have to find your own way of working if you don't have one of these gripping chucks and all these different features they have with that. They're very useful. But anyway, this one I had to fill with some epoxy, a little bit of a hole there. I might mention too that for a salt cellar, having a round bottom is a lot. It's not designed for capacity for a lot of extra things, just for salt, and you don't need to have anything particularly big. So this would be quite serviceable for, you know, having something very small. And these are just a little bigger, more decorative. This one, however, it's just made out of some old pine that I had a hard time just throwing away. So I glued it up and turned it, and then I used a router actually with a pilot bit to drill a flat bottom hole. And I have the gripping recess in here for the chuck, but that got the bottom just cleaned down. And I think I was going to make something else out of this, but I decided to include it in my salt cellar collection here. This is just an old top that I turned, actually had it, I turned it for a tuna tin, and I would keep my paste wax in there and stuff. But I decided to just include it in here. So this is what I call my recycled wood salt cellar. And these are a couple of them that I don't have the lids for. This one's going to have dark ash top made, and this is a part of a burl. I have a couple more pieces. This is another part of the same tree, same burl, and this is white oak, and it's just absolutely stunning. And then another thing, this is kind of fun. So I have a whole bunch of plexiglass, and if you're not a turner, you just want to cut something out and you can buy knobs. I turned this knob out of a piece of lilac. So I've had that sitting around a long time, and I polished this on the lathe. And you don't necessarily have to have a lathe to do this. You just have to cut out a piece of plexiglass. And I used a stainless steel screw to hold this knob in place. I made it intentionally for my coffee cup. And this is a wooden coffee cup. And so it could be served as a salt cellar on your stove, but you can also drink out of it. It's got kind of a woody flavor to your coffee, but it keeps your coffee warm too. I wouldn't use salt. I'd decide if you're going to use it for coffee, then don't put salt in it. But anyway, that's another form of a salt cellar. And my favorite one, I'll end with this, is I brought a piece of wood home from Norway when I was there last fall, and I'm not sure what species this was. The people that hosted us gave me, because everywhere I go I try to bring home a piece of wood from that region and make my own souvenir. So this is a piece of something. I thought it was Paduk, but it carved like, it looks a little bit like oak. It doesn't come from Norway, but they had it in Norway. They brought it from Africa or someplace, the people I stayed with. So here's the salt. And this shape I actually like quite a bit, because you have a simpler base, then you can decorate the top. Makes quite a attractive piece. This sits on the stove, so this one is my wife's. I have a lot of fun with these, and whether you're a wood carver or wood turner, or just like the experiment, you can make something like this, even something as simple as a little top, and make a salt cellar out of it. It's I've come to find they're quite useful and they're attractive, and I'm hoping to make more of these things, and it makes it all worthwhile when you're a wood turner and you find stuff that you can use. So it's part of the joy for me anyway, and I'm sure for you, if you're into making smaller things like this. And enjoy the journey. It's just fun to gather wood and see what you can come up with. So thanks for watching, and please give it a thumbs up if you would, and please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.